All right, SABC's news correspondent Nick Harper joins us live from Washington. Nick, a very good afternoon to you. So as the conflict between Iran and Israel entered seventh day, President Trump was expected to receive an intelligence briefing, we understand, about the conflict this morning, your time. Has that briefing happened? Help us unpack and place where things are at the moment.
Yeah, that intelligence briefing due to get underway in about 25 minutes' time at hour, taking place in the Situation Room in the White House behind me. And of course, up until then and throughout the course of that meeting, until we get any news out of it, we are still in a phase of waiting and watching and guessing as to what Donald Trump's next moves might be, because essentially it is now a case of trying to unpack what is in the president's mind and what may be his thinking on his next moves. So far, he has put out conflicting, really quite opaque messages about what he could do. When asked by reporters on Wednesday, he said that he may or may not join Israel in its attacks against Iran. Further to that, he's also said, I have ideas as what to do. I like to make a final decision 1 second before it's due, because things could change. So really this could be a snap decision from the president at some point in the coming hours or days as to whether or not he joins Israel in its bombing campaign. There was some reporting from the Wall Street Journal that Donald Trump had approved plans to carry out strikes against Iran. However, Donald Trump on social media shot down that reporting. He put out a social media message saying the Wall Street Journal has no idea what my thoughts are concerning Iran. So we're just left to do what we've been doing for the last few days, trying to guess and analyze what the president might be thinking in terms of his next steps.
And Nick, it is perhaps that guessing game that is causing so much uncertainty. I mean, just looking at, the anticipation in terms of the U.S. direct involvement and its official position, there also seems to be some pushback within ordinary Americans saying that they actually don't want to be involved in this war. They don't want to be dragged into this conflict. What is the sentiment both in Congress and perhaps on the ground?
Well, that's right. In terms of the average person out there, there does seem to be growing pushback towards getting involved in another conflict. Bear in mind what the US has done over the last 2 decades, being involved in those so-called forever wars in both Iraq and Afghanistan. And the US, over the course of the last several years, has worked to pull itself out of those situations, to extract troops that were involved. Of course, we saw the withdrawal from Afghanistan back in 2021, a very chaotic affair, but ending that nearly 2-decade involvement in the country. And Donald Trump, coming in to the presidency for the second time around, promised not to be involved in those type of wars. He's painted himself as the president of peace, someone who can negotiate down situations rather than escalating them. And therefore there is that worry with these inflammatory remarks over the last few days, including saying that he might potentially assassinate the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, but won't do so at the moment, is worrying the general public. Over on Capitol Hill, there's certainly pushback, a bipartisan movement now made up of both Democrats and Republicans from within Donald Trump's own party, to try and curb the power of the president, to limit his ability to unilaterally take out action against Iran. That move there is putting together a bill that would mean that the president would need sign-off from Congress before actioning any strikes against Iran, before getting any US military involved in action in the Middle East. So certainly concern at this juncture as to what might happen next. But of course, if the US gets pulled into this, it may not be able to easily extract itself and may once again be involved in another long-running conflict in the Middle East.
Absolutely, Nick. So many moving parts here. And of course, we will touch base with you later on following that particular intelligence briefing. What would be very interesting to watch, of course, is following those comments that President Trump, as well as Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence, also appeared to be at odds over whether Iran was close to having a nuclear weapon or not. But we'll continue to unpack this with you a little bit later, Nick. Thank you so much for that. Nick Harper coming to us there live from Washington.